This is Mountain News Special Report. Good morning. I'm Steve Hensley. We're on the air to give you another flooding update. Governor Beshear is making several stops in the mountains today. The first stop is in Perry County, and he and other officials are expected to speak at the Perry County Courthouse. I don't know if we could go ahead and go to a live picture there. And looks like it's already started, so let's listen in.
And this region so hard. People have lost everything, and that's if they're lucky enough to still be here with us. And we have a confirmation process on those we've lost, and it takes too long, but we can confirm that we've lost at least 26 Kentuckians. Those are 26 children of God that will be missed by their community, that are loved, and we're going to be there with those families as they grieve. We know of many others. We know that there are bodies that we are still processing. And when you see the devastation of this flooding that have carried houses hundreds of yards, if not more, we know we'll still be finding people, sadly, in the days. But as we work through it, make sure that we ultimately learn about everyone that's missing, check on every single one of them, hopefully reunite them with their families. But if not, we're going to be there with them through the toughest of the tough. The physical devastation and loss is incredible. People losing not only a house, but all possessions. Our infrastructure, roads, bridges. Bridges are so important in this community. They are about whether you can access not just your house, but so many critical services. Water infrastructure. Already such a challenge in rural Kentucky, just wiped out in certain areas. This is not going to be an easy rebuild, but I'm here to tell you that the Commonwealth of Kentucky is going to stand with you every single day until it is fully rebuilt. That means the days, the weeks, the months, and the years. We're going to do everything we can to make funding available, and we're working with the federal government right now. Yesterday, we got good news that the president signed an order that will provide individual assistance from FEMA to the residents of this county and several more, and we believe that more counties will be added. That is the fastest that I have seen individual assistance granted to a community after disaster. We're grateful, but it is also desperately needed. And we've got to admit that the families are going to need even more on top of what FEMA currently authorizes. But here in Kentucky, we take care of our own. We are good people that open our homes and our hearts to one another. And I know people are taking care of each other right now, and we're going to continue to do that. Our commitment is we're going to get everybody back up on their feet. Every single person, no matter how long it takes and no matter what it takes. We're going to do everything we can to make sure our children can get back in school. We're going to make sure we do everything we can to rebuild the physical infrastructure. And we're going to make sure that people don't leave this town or this region because of this. This is home, right? It's home. People who love this area, and we're going to be standing right there with you as we rebuild your home. So I hope the message to everybody suffering here is we love you. We're praying for you, but we're also working with you, for you, and beside you. And in the next couple of days, we're still in the emergency response. A couple things that we are doing right now that are of critical importance is we're getting Buckhorn open. That is a state park where we will be able to house a number of people. We recognize that the hotels and motels here are full, that shelters are full, that people are sleeping in their cars and trucks, and we don't need that. And with the upcoming heat that we're going to see Tuesday or Wednesday, we have got to get people stabilized the best we can in these next couple of days. Thanks to the Transportation Cabinet that is out there doing really great work. Thank you, Secretary Gray. It is now passable to get to that state park. We are working on the power to it. We hope that that is up this afternoon and that we'll be able to make an announcement where we can take a number of people in. I want to thank all of the local leaders behind me, but also all the citizens that have been out there. I want to thank our National Guard, who I was talking to at the airport. Look at the rescues, over 1,000 that the National Guard has done just through airlifts, and then the Guard, KSP, all our local officials out there making the watercraft rescues. But for every single one of those, there's a citizen of this county and this region that's helped 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 neighbors, because that's what we do in times of emergency. We make sure our family's safe, and then we go out and we make sure everybody else's families are safe too. I really appreciate the leadership on the ground. Your EM director here is a great leader, and you can tell how much he cares about this community. We've been communicating with him, with Judge Alexander, and with your mayor directly each of the last several days. And we're going to continue to meet your needs. It is going to get really hot after this next rain that we're going to see today and tomorrow. There's a moderate chance that we get excessive rain, and that's not right. But we'll make it through that too. We're making sure we have enough water that's going to be here, especially as it gets hot, and working to bring in shower and other units, because I know without that water to run those systems, it makes life a lot harder. Next couple days are going to continue to be tough, but I promise you life will get better. We will get everyone stabilized and in some form of housing, and we will remove the debris, and we will move forward. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Alexander, and then we'll take questions.
Hey, Governor, and just to echo that real briefly, everyone you named, we got to give so much thanks to the city of Hazard and the county. We always work great together, and we're doing everything we possibly can to assist the community and to assist our neighbors. The search and rescue is the main efforts right now. We're working around the clock with the road department to get roads back open that are possible to open. He talked about the bridges and the infrastructure. We've probably got somewhere around 50 plus bridges that are washed out, broke, head walls gone, that we will have to try to figure out a way to fix, and we will. Jerry Stacy's done an amazing job with organizing. This is the biggest event that I'm aware of that Perry County has ever faced. We've had record rainfall, but just like every time that we face a challenge, the biggest thanks that I want to give that I've been out and looking is, Governor, you touched on it, is neighbors helping neighbors, family coming from someone else to help family, to clean out and try to rebuild, and or even offering for people to stay with one another. And I want to give a thanks. I've been through now 8 or 10, I don't know, disasters. Usually individual assistance takes time, and so you've got people wondering and waiting. And I know you're suffering today, but that is the quickest individual assistance that I've ever seen approved. And I know we got FEMA workers coming. I think the governor said he'd requested 80 on the ground and is requesting more. And the sooner we can get those out to you, the sooner you can start rebuilding. We will be here every step of the way. As we move from search and rescue, we know we got to start the other phases of rebuilding and getting those that we can back to life as quickly as possible. You touched on the schools, and that's something that I'll speak with the superintendents on later. With so many homes gone, so many families affected, so many bridges washed out, how do we get back to school? How do we get back to a normal life? And we need these kids in the classroom as soon as possible. It's good for them. So we're here every step of the way, and like I said, thanks from the federal government all the way down to our state leaders, the governor. But most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you that can hear me, because without you reaching out and helping a neighbor, there's no way that we could get through this. And now I'll turn it over to our mayor, and then I'm open for questions and answers as well.
There's not much more to say what the governor and Scott said, but one thing I'd like to talk about, we've had an outpouring support of all kinds of people wanting to volunteer. And we're having a meeting today at 2 o'clock and at 3 o'clock, and it's downtown. If you want to volunteer, Betsy, what number do they need to call? So we've got to get it organized and go to each different community. And, you know, I know at the high school and out at East Perry and all the shelters, we have more volunteers, then we know what to do with them right now. But within this next 3 or 4 days, we'll come up with a concrete plan. You got that, Zach? 502 693 6667. And we have
There's a form to fill out too that we have listed. So this is, rather than flood that runway, if people can fill out the form, that way we can keep it organized. It's a bit.ly link, so that's bit.ly/Perry County Volunteers with a capital P for Perry.
And we have tons of people wanting to volunteer, and we need you. Well, we need to put you where you can work best to do it the fastest. And like Scott said, none of this will be happening if everybody don't take care of each other. And that's what we do. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mark Stone from Sky News. I realise you've got so many huge challenges, immediate challenges, but I'm struck, Governor, that you haven't mentioned climate change in your comments over the past few days. You talked about the fact that extreme weather is more common. I saw you in Mayfield a few months ago when that part of the world, part of your state was destroyed. Do Kentuckians, do Americans see a link between the extreme weather and climate change?
The reason you haven't heard me talk about something that I believe in is that we got hundreds, if not thousands, of people with no movement. We're still finding bodies. And to talk to a set of parents who lost children about solar panels, they don't want to talk about that right now. Right now, our job is to find those that are missing. Our job is to help families that are suffering, and we can have that larger conversation later.
Sir, Governor, what do you expect to come in terms of rain?
Yeah.
And whatever you get, how that affects the rescue and recovery operations that are still on?
So through today and into tomorrow, there is a moderate risk of excessive rain. That would be between 1 and 2 inches. It looks like flash flooding, if and where it occurs, will be localized and not region-wide. It really hurts the morale of folks that have seen this amount of rain. We hope, and we certainly don't believe for the region, it's going to cause additional massive flooding, but we have prepared. Certainly, weather can impact search and rescue. What we have seen is our folks are willing to work through just about anything. But when we think about the challenges, it's not just this. It's also the excessive heat that's coming up when you don't have working water systems and you don't have power to everyone.
Governor, where are the greatest needs and challenges?
Oh my goodness, it's getting people stabilized. Water, drinking water. Getting showers and toilets working, making sure everybody has a dry room where they can stay. That's why we're working on getting the park open, and that should show you that we're still in that emergency situation. Then it'll be debris cleanup, then it'll be those other steps, but right now it's meeting people's very basic needs and making sure people know that their relatives are okay. We got a lot of people, not just this area, but around the state and around the country that are still really worried about hundreds of people.
Governor, there's a lot of people in Perry County that they don't have water for extended time. I'm not sure. Is there any way that you all are working with local counties and cities on helping people get their water back on?
So first thing we're doing is sending massive truckloads of water, mainly drinking water, but also usable water for hospitals and others. The Kentucky Distillers Association sent water to ARA. Where we can make repairs, everybody's working around the clock, but some of these systems are gone and is going to be a longer term challenge.
What's the best way that people that want to help can help?
Well, first let me talk about the best way people can help. We're all from the state and the country, and then I'll turn it over to Scott and the mayor. So right now, there's lots of great donations that are coming in, but people don't need your clothes. You know, they could use some new clothes. Certainly water is critically important, and when you look at how long this recovery is going to last, a lot of the groups that are here that are really important won't be here 2 or 3 months from now. I don't begrudge that. They will be at the next disaster. That's why we set up the Team Eastern Kentucky. flooding relief fund. You can find that on our website. It is fully transparent. We will be held accountable for every dollar. There are no administrative fees, and we've been able to use it for really critical ways in the West. We want to make sure we have it for the East. First thing we've committed to is we're going to pay for every funeral. People shouldn't have to go through a reimbursement process that takes months when they're grieving for a loved one. So we're going to reach out directly to them. No forms, no applications. We'll work directly with the funeral homes to make sure that we are there in people's time of need. Scott?
Yeah, you want to speak on the foundation, you want to speak on the infrastructure? Infrastructure, okay. The other one too, and to touch real quick, the outpouring is amazing, and we appreciate that, but we're dealing with people who's lost their homes. And so if you send clothing or you send supplies, you got to realize they have nowhere to put this. So the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, we've used them in the past to help our neighbors disperse money directly to the victims. They're not linked with the government in any way whatsoever. They're a foundation set up that can quickly handle this, and that's where I would encourage everyone to make their cash donation. And here's why. These people need a place to stay. They need a hotel room. They may need to rent a car to get back to work. That's why they need that. That's why the clothing and the supplies is hard for them to handle. The same way, with this money, they can go to a store and buy the size that fits them. And it frees up resources of our people trying to handle sorting and distributing and all of that. So the best way to help the flood victims is through the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Speaking to the people that are trying to come with boats and help out in that way, what would you say to those?
Reach out to emergency management. Jerry Stacy's done an amazing job working with the National Guard. They was in here immediately. They've been rescues around the clock since they started, and so I would refer them to reach out to our office, our local office, and see if that's the next. We're probably here within the next week, hopefully without hopefully we miss a lot of this rain. We hope to be wrapping that up within a week or two, and so we will be needing a different phase of volunteers and help here in the future.
How many people do you think you'd be able to house in Buffalo?
Was it 38? I'm not for sure, but I think it's 38 rooms.
We'll get you that number before we leave.
Are they bringing in FEMA trailers?
Yeah, go ahead.
So FEMA is working on that side, but in responding to the tornadoes in western Kentucky, the state made a significant purchase of travel trailers. We have 70 plus that are available right now. We've already started moving them, and the first group is already here. We want to work with FEMA on their travel trailers, but we don't want to wait. We want to make sure that we get people stabilized as quickly as we can. The first set went to Jenny Wiley in Floyd County, where the state park is operational but now full, and we are expanding capacity through it. We did learn some lessons. I wish we didn't have to have learned lessons. That devastation in western Kentucky. Let me say I'm also humbled by the number of folks from that area that have driven here to help in this time of need. And the things that they have said is the world was there for us when we were struggling, and we're going to be there for eastern Kentucky. We have a state full of special people. Other thing we're working on that I'd mention is contracting directly with the hotels so that people aren't going to have to pay out of their pocket if they are in a sheltering situation. We're working on that today, and we'll hopefully have that up and running. We don't want anybody to be out of any dollars that right now are so critical for them. We were able to make that happen again 7 months ago, and we're working on it in Hazard right now.
Governor, do you know how many people are still missing, or is it too early to tell?
I wish. I wish we had a firm, real number of the people that are missing.
I could sort of help you with that, Dakota. At our city hall right now, we've got the coroner set up down there, and families members are coming in for the last 2 days and bringing pictures and ways to identify people, and they're keeping track, and then they're calling in, but we don't know all the counties, but it's several. I mean,
It's in between Still spotty cell phone service, though we are getting it back up. And then not necessarily having a firm count to begin with in each area that we're talking about. You know the areas that we're talking about. This is something that we're going to be working on, again, for weeks to come. Now, if I can give people just a glimmer of hope, we did find a lot of people in the West that we feared the worst for, and as cell phone coverage picked up in the days that followed, we found a lot of people that we reunited with their families, and boy, we are praying that that's going to be the case here too.
And then just to clarify, the funerals that you're paying for, that's coming out of which fund?
That's coming out of the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, and that's going to be around to help on a lot of other things. But listen, if people are willing to be generous, both of these are great funds that are going to help people. We'll coordinate. We'll make sure that we don't duplicate.
There's virtually no hotels here in town that be available. You might have one with a London behind the room. Do you ask that people who are coming here volunteer to help? Maybe they stay farther away to allow people who are in that floods to stay closer?
I'm sorry.
ahead. Step up.
What we've been doing is, what we've been doing, we're not going to turn anybody away. Our school system, we got Ms. Combs here, Mr. Jett. We've opened our schools up to anybody, any organization that needs places to stay. We're not going to turn anybody away. And just like we talked to the National Guard this morning, they said they may house them in Corbin. That's not going to help us. They can house them in the central area. And, you know, we've got the sportsplex over there in Knott County. We've got, at the community college would probably open it up. So if anybody, we're not going to have trouble with that. I mean, it's going to be a hardship. They need to bring a sleeping bag because we're not going to have a bed for them. But what I was going to speak to you about the infrastructure, I've talked to everybody that's ever worked for the city that's been retired 20, 25 years. We have never seen this before, and you all hear this over and over. But what you don't know is the entire county, just like the Easter storm, was out of water. The first time the water plant has ever been shut down, besides us cleaning it, since 1949. We didn't know if we were ever going to get the water plant back up. We are getting pockets of water out there a little bit, and what it's going to be, it's sort of like 200 feet at a time. Well, if you go all the way to Squabble Creek, it's 39 miles from here. And we've had people on the ground, they're calling, the lines are washed out, and there is no way a crew of 15 men in the city of Hazard are going to be able to get all of these lines back up. So I talked to the governor, I talked to Scott, and everybody's in agreement. Once we get the assessment done and we get the tanks filled back up, then the money is, you know, through the League of Cities, everybody, we're going to have professional help come in and do the lines, but we're going to have enough people on our crew to go with them, because our lines are so different. You know, if they come from E-Town or Western Kentucky, our lines go under the river, over the mountain, through the woods. I mean, you have to have somebody from Hazard to show you where they are. And to reiterate what the governor said, this is heartwarming. Yesterday, Ms. Combs did a great job up at the high school, organized all the sports team to help us get all the stuff donated. But this one big truck came in, and I started talking to him. I said, where y'all? Said, we just did this in Western Kentucky. This is the stuff we had left over from the tornadoes. So yeah, everybody is helping, and you got to continue, but you got to be patient too. Thank you.
And just to add on to the sheltering, you know, we take people in. Oftentimes we end up in a congregate sheltering, a lot of people in one space. The goal then is to move people to a little more stability, individual rooms where we can, whether that's hotel, travel trailer, state park, and we'll continue because of both the pandemic and other issues we face to do that. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much.
Got you go into the shelter.
Huh? Yeah, we're going there.
All right, the governor wrapping up his first stop of the day in Eastern Kentucky. You can see Sheriff Joe Engel there, who actually lost a family member in the flooding. We reported that yesterday. Emergency Management Director Jerry Stacy, Scott Alexander, Judge Executive, Hazard Mayor Happy Mobilini. I saw City Commissioner Fitz Steele there, and I'm sure there are a lot of other officials and folks doing a lot behind the scenes there as well. Just saw our Dakota Makers walk by too. He's covering the news conference. Again, that's the first stop of the day for Governor Beshear, barring any weather delays. From here, he's supposed to go to the Knott County Emergency Operations Center and Emergency Shelter, which is located at the Knott County Sportsplex. And then from there, he's going to Letcher County. Of course, Perry, Letcher, Knott, three of the definitely hardest hit counties by this devastating flash flooding. He's supposed to be in Letcher County around 3:45, and he's going to actually go to one of the neighborhoods affected, the Upper Bottom neighborhood in Whitesburg, we understand. And there he'll also be joined by State Representative Angie Hatton. Just to recap some of the headlines to come out of the news conference this morning, the death toll has increased one since last night. It's now up to 26, and I believe that that new death is from Knott County, and they have the highest death toll of everyone, 15 dead now in Knott County from this flash flooding. But the governor did say he believes, and this is a quote, he believes there are many others. They still do not have a firm count on the number of missing. Of course, it's hoped that some of these people that are missing or unaccounted for are fine. They're just trapped, have no cell phone service, and certainly that is a possibility. The governor mentioned that happened back in December with the tornado outbreak. A lot of folks were unaccounted for initially, but they ended up being fine. We certainly hope that's the case, but the governor says there's no doubt the death toll will increase because they know of more bodies that have been found. They're just not haven't officially been counted yet. So the death toll certainly will go at least a little higher, we believe. The governor reiterated this is not going to be an easy rebuild. It's going to take months, if not years. There are so many infrastructure issues with water, gas, lots of bridges and roads washed out or damaged. The governor did vow to do everything they can to help in the weeks, months, and years to come. He believes that more counties will be added to FEMA individual assistance. Yesterday we learned that renters and homeowners of Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Letcher, and Perry counties affected by the storms, flooding, and mudslides can already apply for FEMA disaster assistance. And everybody that spoke today said that's record time. You do not get that this quickly. It usually takes weeks, but the president has already approved individual disaster assistance in Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Letcher, and Perry counties. We'll just go over a couple of important websites and numbers. If you are in one of those counties, Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Letcher, Perry, that's been affected, you can apply for FEMA assistance online by going to disasterassistance.gov or by calling 800-621-3362, or you can use the FEMA mobile app. Again, that's disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-3362. And we also have all of this information on our website as well. A few other bits of information. They are still trying to get Buckhorn Lake State Resort Park open to house people. They have got the road passable, but they're still working on power and hope to have that by this afternoon. Other State Resort Park lodges across the region are being used as shelters as well, and they're hoping to use Buckhorn very soon. Judge Executive Scott Alexander said 50-plus bridges in the county have been washed out or damaged, and he called this the biggest event that Perry County has ever faced, and certainly it is in my lifetime. The death toll is now equal to the March 2nd, 2012 tornado outbreak, and will most certainly end up being higher than that. I think it's safe to say we haven't seen a disaster even close to this in Perry County since the 57 and 63 river floods. And again, those were river floods. This was flash flooding. It's certainly much more deadly and destructive in some areas. The governor also mentioned, I don't think he had said this before, that all funerals are going to be paid for out of the Team Kentucky Fund that's been set up. Scott Alexander mentioned the best way he knows to make a monetary donation is through the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, and that's one of the organizations that's participating in the Appalachia Rises campaign that we've been promoting the last few days, and we have a lot more information on how you can donate to that cause over on our website at wymt.com. So again, just to recap, the death toll is up to 26. The governor and others did mention the fact that we are expecting some more rain today. So far, no flooding issues from the rain we're seeing today. Some places haven't seen any rain. I actually can look at Doppler radar over my shoulder, and most places are dry right now, just some scattered storms about. We have no new flood warnings to my knowledge, but there are some scattered showers, and of course it's not going to take a whole lot to cause any issues, and of course we'll be keeping you updated if any new problems arise from today's rain throughout the day. And we don't know if the rain may affect the governor's schedule the rest of the day, but again, as of now, he's expected to go to Knott County next and talk to local officials at the EOC and visit with families at the emergency shelter at the Knott County Sportsplex. That's expected around 1:15, and then from there he is expected to go to Whitesburg and talk to some affected families in a neighborhood there. Both, of course, Knott and Letcher counties hit extremely hard by this flooding, as was Perry County. Well, thank you for joining us for this special report. We'll, of course, keep you updated. And we'll come back on the air as necessary. We will have reporters also at those Knott and Letcher County stops. I just got a text from our Dakota Makeress who's covering that news conference. After it was over, he asked Sheriff Joe Engel about looting, and he says they've already charged 4 people, and we've heard this has been a problem in other counties too, unfortunately. I don't know who is sick enough to prey on flood victims, but apparently there are some, and there have already been 4 people charged with that in Perry County. I know Sheriff Engel posted something about that on Facebook yesterday, saying they would not tolerate that. We have, again, reporters out covering some of the hardest hit areas again today. Our Chandler Wilcox also sent me a text while we were on the air with the news conference. He is actually in the Neon area of Letcher County, some areas we haven't even been to yet, and his exact quote was, "I don't have words for this. This is insanity." So we're going to be seeing areas later today on our newscast that we haven't even covered yet. So we hope you will join us back here for Mountain News at 6 and 11. We will come back on the air if there are any other major developments. Of course, keep following us on social media and our website for the very latest information. But for now, we'll get you back to regular programming. Thank you for joining us.